welcome to the Otafest podcast. We are with me, Nancy.
And
It's
Jay.
just her. No, it's just her.
And
Damn
Angelo.
it.
Apparently,
Hello.
it's just me.
Yes.
Just
It's Nancy
Nancy.
and her two other voices. Wouldn't that be amazing if the podcast this whole time was just a flex of Nancy's voice acting ability?
Dear God, I'm better than I ever thought.
Yeah,
Powerful.
that would be insane.
If I could
Um,
actually get the base levels that Jay and Angelo can project, though, that would be
You would
so
be
Terrifying.
the
amazing.
most skilled voice actor.
It'd be
So
terrifying, but it'd be
amazing.
great because you could be like, anytime you'd answer a call, maybe from like your agent or anything like that about a potential project, and like the director or something wants to talk to you, and they're like, "Hey, is this Nancy?" And you're like, "Hello, you called for me." And you're like,
You
"Oh, I'm
summoned
looking for,
me."
I'm looking for Nancy." And you're like, "Haha, it's actually just me." And they're like, "My God, the range." That'd be
That would be
fantastic.
incredible.
Yeah.
But
Anyways.
we hope everyone is staying safe and indoors. And while we're under these self-isolation measures, it doesn't mean that Otafest stops. We, the podcast crew, are still recording from home, and Otafest as a whole is still working away at providing our audience with some really awesome community content. So please stay tuned for announcements this year.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
Like a lot, I'm sure folks follow all sorts of different content creators, whether it's like internet related or, they actually have cons or events and things like that. But as I'm sure they've noticed, a lot of us are just moving into digital channels, and we are hoping to do the same because we all gotta self-isolate and be in quarantine and just generally put forth this big concerted effort to stay safe, stay healthy. This is for the greater good.
The
But that doesn't
greater
mean that we
good.
can. Yeah, it doesn't mean that we can't have fun while we're doing it. So we're working on that. So
Mhm.
yeah, just I don't know, just give us a little bit of time to kind of get our brains together, and we'll have some fun stuff for everybody
Yay.
in the next little bit.
Mhm.
In the meantime, I'm sure everybody's been bored as hell, trying to figure out what they want to do.
False.
I know games
False.
are the big thing. Games are the big thing right now.
Games are the
course.
only thing.
Yeah, like if it wasn't already a big thing, but even people who don't normally game, I feel like are getting into it.
Yeah, I've actually
And
heard quite a
Angelo,
bit about that.
yeah, and I know Angelo's been getting into Half-Life Alyx,
Of course,
right?
that's the whole reason I bought the Vive so far.
Okay, so Angelo, I need like an essential update on what's going on with Half-Life Alyx. It's been out for 2 weeks,
It's been
and
out
I
since
fully
the
expect that you've
23rd.
completed it by now.
So
Yeah, 1 week.
I have not completed it. I've only gotten maybe
Gasp.
5 or 6 hours into it. Because work is one thing. I'm in an essential industry, so I don't have all the time
am
out in the
I.
world off. But
Mhm.
more than that is the game. It's exhausting. It's
Like,
when you're
physically
Tedious.
playing
exhausting?
Beat
It's
Saber and you're
tedious
waggling
and-
your arms about, and
and-
it's not that. It's not that it leaves
It's-
you with sweat beating down your forehead and contaminating your VR headset.
I know what you mean. It's
It's
tedious and
mental.
boring, and it's just really tough to work through. I know, but you'll
No,
get through it.
it's not tedious and boring at all. It's so exciting that it overwhelms you. Like, you just very early in the game, it sends you through this place called the Quarantine Zone, which, if you played Half-Life 2, is very much like Ravenholm, but there's these big, like, bulbous, mucusy green growths everywhere. There's
Ew.
decaying bodies just hanging around, and the first time you see one, you're like, what the fuck? Because it looks like something. And Alyx, the main character, makes sounds, but you don't know if that's the body that made the sound. I think the first time I came across the body, I just like popped it in the head a few times because I wasn't sure. I wasted ammo on it.
I feel like
Oh.
that's my regular everyday life. So
So this sounds very much like an adrenaline exhaustion,
It
like an
is.
emotional and mental exhaustion.
Like every single time I take off the headset, I'm just like, holy shit, so much happened, and it was just like, duh. But
How
then
long is the game, hour-wise? Do you
I
know?
haven't looked into that yet because I'm
I'm
going
gonna
through
look
the
into it.
game completely blind.
And I
Will you be mad
love.
if I say how long it is?
Sure, go for it. Say it.
I'm looking right
Spoil
now.
me. But
I
Um,
I very firmly believe
walking
in
through these, like,
experiencing games like this blind,
gross
though.
gross hallways, dark hallways. You don't get a flashlight for like a couple hours in the game.
Okay, that
So,
just freaks me right out. I'm
and
sorry,
even
no
then,
flashlight?
once you get the flashlight, it mounts to your hand.
Oh no.
So you've gone through the game so far. At that point in time, you've already had to reload in combat multiple times. So you're almost good with reloading. Suddenly you're fighting in the pitch
Almost.
black. Almost. No one's perfect. Only like an hour or two in. You're fighting in the pitch dark. You have to reload in combat, and so that involves you throwing one arm over your shoulder to grab ammo out of your backpack. You have to press a button on the other controller or flick the gun in a way to open it up and eject the magazine. You have to shove in the magazine with your
it's
other
very
hand.
manual, is what you're saying.
And then you have to like rack the slide or whatever you want to do. But the thing is, when you're fighting in the dark, with a flashlight mounted on your hand, and you've got someone coming at you, moving your flashlight hand away from that thing to grab ammo, it's stressful. You don't know what's happening while you're reloading. So as soon as you get the gun reloaded, you're trying to find your target again. It is so stressful, and it's just, they nail the feeling so well. It just immerses you
But
completely.
it sounds like, but I mean, like, I don't want to be that guy. It sounds like part of the stress is produced through tedium.
Yes.
So like things like saying like you have to reload in a manual way, for example, and while there's a zombie coming at you, and you're like, like you know,
but that
trying to shove the
tedium
magazine in.
adds immersion in a way that a
I
mouse and
guess.
keyboard just can't.
Sure, but I mean, like,
Like, if I just waggled my...
I don't want any game that I play have tedium as sort of like there's repetitiveness, but there's something where it's like, is that really generating a certain emotion?
How
like
much
fear?
time
Because
did
you're
you
like,
spend
because you're like, "Ugh."
managing your inventory in Resident Evil 4 or any of the Resident Evils?
I don't play Resident Evil.
Okay, what
So
about
none.
you, Nancy?
Okay, hold on. So, I'm hearing Jay is of the persuasion of more automated, like, gameplay mechanics. So this whole idea of, like, manually reloading is, like, a huge
I
turn off
don't.
for him.
Well, here's the problem. Like, I
Yeah.
don't play games to be in a situation where like I need to be fantastical and I need it to be efficient.
So you're
Like,
not a fan of super realism, is what I hear.
That's
I'm a fan
basically
of
what I'm
realism.
getting out of
No,
Jay. But the other thing I'm
a
getting
fan
out of
hold
Jay
on, let me
is...
finish. Let me finish.
Okay.
I am a fan of realism to a point where I can appreciate it because it's in a setting that I would not appreciate otherwise. But you can go to the gun range and reload a gun and not look like an idiot doing it. Like that's a complete different thing. But you're saying that in VR I can be a clumsy dumbass. It's like, that's not fucking fun. That's not part like the only reason it's creating fear is because it's made you a clumsy dumbass. That's a
Did
completely
we ever
different
talk
feeling.
about Death Stranding with you?
What I would argue is that you're just saying, yeah, you're screwing up doing an easy thing. And it's less about that because you do eventually get the motion down. But it's one of the game mechanics. They could just give you infinite bullets if they wanted to. And that would actually make the game boring. It would be a worse game if they did that. It would be a worse game if you just pressed a button on the controller to reload your gun. The reality is, and the comparison I was trying to make earlier, just as in Resident Evil games, inventory management, despite being a tedious thing and an annoying thing, it is actually one of the core mechanics of the game that makes the rest of the game harder and more a little bit stressful, if you will. If you had Resident Evil 4 with an unlimited backpack, Well, you'd always be prepared for every single situation, and you'd just mow everything down with unlimited ammo. It'd be boring. So just in the same way, because you actually have to get skilled, you have to get good at reloading the guns, what Jay's saying is a tedious thing, which once you're even kind of bad at it, still takes less than a second.
So here's a question for you then. How
It
long
adds
did it...
to the skill ceiling. To the
By the way,
long did it
the game is
take?
20. The game is 15 to 20 hours.
Okay, that sounds about right.
So how long did
depending on
it
who you
take,
are.
Angela, for you to feel like you were halfway good at reloading your gun?
For me, I'm still bad at it. Keep that in mind. But the first time I was able to reload the gun with a headcrab zombie, what felt like 10 feet away from me and walking towards me, I run out of bullets, empty the magazine, grab a new one from behind me, pop it in, rack the slide, and reacquire the target in time to kill the dude, the zombie, and not get damage. That's when I first felt, hey, I'm kind of getting the hang of this.
This sort of reminds me a bit of what it was like for me as a kid just to like even get into video games with a controller. And I say this as someone who had a fairly large gap between the Nintendo and, like, I don't know, I think I probably skipped the N64, so let's say GameCube.
Okay.
And jumping from the classic Nintendo controller to the GameCube controller was just a mind-blowing experience for me in a bad way, because I wasn't used to all these extra buttons. I didn't know what the hell this shape was, and like, yeah, it was kind of a weird jump for me. So this kind of sounds like a similar struggle. You're really just getting used to the VR gameplay mechanic.
It's a complete difference compared to like a controller or even a mouse and keyboard.
Of course.
Because suddenly you have to actually aim a gun. Dio didn't know how iron sights actually worked when she first played it. We had to tell her.
Oh shit.
And like that's just a thing. If you don't really know anything about real guns, you wouldn't know how sights work.
Here's the thing, like I have no problem with realism in a game. I prefer, especially in certain types of games, I prefer
another
sort of
argument that I can make
level
for
of realism. Hold on. For God's sake, dude. Like, holy shit, let me get out a goddamn thought.
No.
Well, I
this
can
is
just
hard
mute you.
over
Be gone,
a three-way Discord, okay?
Because I can just mute you, and then it'll just be Nancy and I, and then I can still go with the whole Nancy is 3 voice actors in one.
Oh, jeez.
Right?
Oh, jeez.
Like, having realism is not the problem, but you, like, again, it's what when you have something that's like a minute action that's sort of an essential part of your gameplay, like it's, and then turning that into sort of a task that is required in like to be good at, hopefully to like survive better in a game, it just doesn't seem like it's this like for example, let's say you're not somebody who startles easily and you're playing a game and it's a horror game and zombies are coming at you or whatever, and yeah, you have to do the thing where you're reloading your gun and maybe you don't freak out. That's like great for you. Like, you're the motor part of it's not so hard for you. You can stuff the magazine in there, shoot, blast them away. Great. Then there's like the poor bastard who they want to play the game. They get freaked out easily. They keep on like not being able to reload things or like complete these like small tasks that are normally a button press in a different game, and they can't make progress because of it. That sounds really stupid to me.
It sounds extra stressful.
Yeah, like it's just like I get it. I get where it comes from, right?
That is one thought that I've had, that people with any kind of manual disability, like any issues with their hands,
yeah,
they are not going to be able to enjoy this game.
No.
Like,
and then you could be like, well, it's not made for these people.
I know.
And that's just
No.
like a dick move.
But,
But it's just
at that
straight
point,
up.
you'd be playing this game not on a VR system.
Even though
well, you don't have that option right now. But.
the
Not
Vive
right
controllers
now, but
are
they might.
really limited, all things considered, and they're like the bare minimum for this game. But even then, like it really feels like if you had any kind of issue with your hands, you just would not be able to play the game. But one other thing that I would like to mention is you made the comparison of, oh, in any other game, you're pushing a button.
Mm-hmm.
You're pushing a button and then you're just waiting. You're doing nothing. Maybe you're keeping your gun or your crosshair targeted on someone.
Yeah, but it's like a macro action, dude. I don't have to be like, I go into my inventory, I pull out the magazine, I click out the other magazine with my right hand or whatever my aiming, my dominant hand might be, and then I try and shove this thing back in. Like, I'm describing to me what is essentially like a 2, 3, 4 second reload, just because of my own clumsiness, versus I press R and look, guess what? Like, if I have a big ass machine gun, it's a 4 second reload because it's the set macro and action for it. It's how we balance this weapon.
I squeeze one
it's
hand
not because
and
it's not
waggle
because,
my arm over my shoulder and then to my other hand. And then I press a button to wreck the slide.
That's you.
Like, it is something that
it's
you can do it very
manufactured
quickly.
bullshit based off of your own dexterity or lack of it.
I feel like your entire argument
to agree on
is
this.
that you don't like artificial difficulty to the point where reloading anyway is something that's bullshit.
Like, I also know that we're talking about like a
Doom.
pistol, but I don't know, this, hopefully, that there's like a shotgun, right?
Yes, and with the shotgun, you can put up to 2 shells in there at a time, and it can hold 6 shells.
Fine.
So when you reload the gun, you have to make that over-the-shoulder action like 3 times. Although what's really satisfying is to close the shotgun, you can just flick it up, and it just feels really cool. It makes you feel like a badass.
I'm sure. Like,
the shotgun especially is just so cool.
It's not that all tedium is bad.
That makes me think of one thing.
It's not that all tedium is bad. It's just that some of it is just
to get off the tedium argument. The way that it immerses you in the game, sometimes it's really cool and really clever, and it makes you forget that you're playing a video game. Other times,
like what?
Like just going through an environment, looking around, moving stuff on a shelf to try to find things behind it or in it, or like opening file cabinets and lockers to try to find more ammo. And then it puts you in the mindset that it's like, yeah, they thought about a lot of stuff. Maybe it's certain puzzles are just kind of real life puzzles. So it's like, oh, there's a brick on the ground. I'm out of ammo or I'm low on ammo. I just want to throw this brick at the thing. Doesn't work. The brick is just a physics object, and you can't hurt anyone with it.
I'm gonna be that guy and just say that I none of what you just said is not something that you can't do in regular first-person games.
Yeah, but that's the thing. If I can literally pick up the brick, I can throw the brick, and that's really cool. And it throws and bounces off things, and But when I throw a brick and it hits a zombie in the head, it does fucking nothing. I just beamed this motherfucker with a brick. What the fuck? But one other situation, which is actually how you get the shotgun, I was standing there because like you have the gravity gloves, which like pull things, and it's like, oh, you can't pull this shotgun away from him because it's like it's stuck in his hand. And I'm like, oh, there's so much stuff around me that I can throw. If I know Gabe Newell, he wants me to pick up these things and throw it at the zombie and knock the shotgun out of his hands, and then I can grab it with the gravity glove and I'll have a shot. No. Video game. I had to take myself out of the immersion, out of the thinking like it's real life, and go back to video game and be like, oh, I have to go down there and I have to lower it and I have to grab it off of his body.
That's just disappointing. Like
that was disappointing.
It sounds a little disappointing.
That took me way out of it. They made up for it with what happens next in that scene.
Sure.
But I wanted it to be throwing the
That's the
thing.
biggest challenge, right?
And
That's the biggest challenge.
the
That
more I thought
I,
about it, the game has no melee, and I was like, why not? Why can't I throw this brick, or why can't I smash someone with a brick? Because Valve doesn't actually want you swinging the controllers so hard to hit something in the game that you could hit and break something in real life.
I also just think that like it's one thing that you can make with controllers, that argument you can try and make with controllers, but when the day finally comes that haptic gloves are going to be the thing that we use instead of controllers, that argument will no longer exist. And I wonder if games will still be like that, because at the end of the day, they're not here to make a open real world for you. They're making a guided experience for you.
Exactly.
And you will never get what you want specifically until we sort of move into a whole other medium of VR, which is like holodeck Star Trek levels. Anyways, from what I've seen of Alyx, it looks fun, but there's nothing in there that convinces me. Like people, I've heard that people are saying like it's essentially the best VR game out there, and
Yep.
that's like I have no argument against that. I'd want it to be a good game. I want the
It is a good
medium
game. It's very
to
fun and it's very
evolve.
satisfying to play.
Yeah,
At the
I
same
want the
time,
medium to
saying it's the
evolve.
best VR game, that's not a high bar to clear right now. There aren't
Sure.
very many VR games.
And I
That's what I
and
was wondering. I was wondering what else Alyx really has up against it, honestly.
yeah, I was like 3 years or 2.5 years ago maybe, when we first started doing podcasts and we were talking about like VR stuff. I was not convinced, and I'm still not convinced. Because like I would love like Bayfar has one, and like I could play it, but I don't play it because like I have games that I want to sort of play on it, but I don't think that the control scheme is as good as what's available on just playing my PC, or I just don't think it's sort of not worth it. Uh, like if you look at the sunk cost and like
It's expensive.
And like,
I don't like having I just sold my Switch. I just sold my Switch because I had 4 games for it. I played those games. I was happy with those games. I sold those games and I sold my Switch because someone wanted to play Animal Crossing and I was like, sure, I don't mind. I don't like having a piece of technology that I have to put a sunk cost in and then not do anything for it. Like the Switch is 3 years old. I got it when it first launched. I played the shit out of the games I got, and then I haven't interacted with it
At that
like
point, you were
really
just done.
interacted with it for like at least the last 5 months, and before that it
and
was the last 8 months. You know what I mean?
and really that's fine. Like you got your enjoyment out of it, and that's going to be different for everyone. Everyone has like their different thresholds for when they're okay putting something down and being okay with that
But we're
part of their
talking like a
lives
two
being gone.
thousand dollar investment, which is a little
I
different.
know, I know,
Entertainment
but I'm
investment.
I'm just
But
saying
speaking
that
of other $2,000 investments,
Yeah, Nancy, do you have a $2,000 investment?
okay, so in quarantine slash self isolation, there aren't that many things to do.
Hmm.
There are video games, there are books to read, and there's online shopping to be done. And the most recent shiny thing that has caught this household's eye is a gaming laptop because
oh,
we've been needing uh, updated gaming rigs for a while. Sean used to have, or he used to have a pretty beefy PC. But most recently, I've kind of moved off PC just because I find sitting at a desk to be supremely uncomfortable compared to being on the couch. So I've actually been doing most of my gaming in the last 5 years on the couch on my gaming laptop. And this thing is nearing 10 years old and needs a replacement. So we've been keeping an
damn.
eye out for the usual, shiny new announcements that come every, what, quarter? Like, when the 20 series of all the video cards came out, and it was like, oh, which one do we want? Maybe we will wait for the next generation. Maybe we won't wait for the next generation. Blah, 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 blah.
Hmm.
And gaming laptops are kind of a specifically expensive beast because you're paying for the portability, which means you're paying for smaller components, which means you're gonna have to deal with heat sink issues a lot more, which and as you know, GPUs pull a lot of power, they're hot. They're just it's different than saying I want an ultrabook
I
because an
am
ultrabook.
personally against gaming laptops for so many reasons.
Why?
And you actually touched on a lot of them.
Yeah.
And
Well.
your reason for going with a laptop is the only real reason to get one, because you don't like sitting at a desk.
Well,
Having that
that's
said, I have
like
to ask,
that's actually
what is your
I've
posture like when you're gaming on your couch with a laptop? Do you have it on your lap and you have like the mouse on the armrest or something, or
I have
is it on the
a
coffee
lap
table and
desk
you're hunched
thing.
over?
Oh no, I have a lap desk, so I'm like
Okay.
fully sitting back on the couch, and like my lap desk is wide enough for a 14-inch gaming laptop and space for a mouse on the right side.
Maybe it's also
So
just because I'm twice your size, but most couches just aren't interesting enough, aren't comfy enough for me.
we have a lazy
here's
boy, and it's just
Oh,
really
yeah.
comfortable.
Let me say that I've never had a gaming laptop. I don't have the same reason as Nancy, but I do have a reason to get a gaming laptop. And I've sort of looked into it, but I haven't really committed. I
So
don't. I go to like the short and long of it is I like going to LAN parties.
yep.
yeah, and that was the portability aspect of it
Yeah,
because I don't want to lug a PC around if I feel like going over to a friend's place to
right.
play
And
something.
so I said that I'm so against gaming laptops. Guess what? Every laptop that I've ever had has been a gaming laptop.
Oh my God, Angelo, you
No, but that's
you
saying that like
hypocrite!
no, that's
You
I think that's
hypocrite!
just a
Okay,
more of a function of
let me
you wanted a
let me
laptop.
tell you why. My
Yeah, you
first two
wanted like
laptops were my main computer at the time. I had no desktop. I couldn't have a desktop. I was in college. It needed to be portable. But I wanted to game.
Fair, fair.
And one of those laptops I still have to this day. It still works. The battery even still holds charge. I love that
mhm.
laptop. It was a bulky ass piece of garbage, fucking hot as trash, just overpaid for what the actual specs gave me. And desktops are better in every way, except you can fit a laptop in a bag.
Yeah, that's pretty much it. Like, the portability aspect is what I want, and for that, I would need a gaming laptop. I've only ever owned one gaming laptop, and I gotta say, this thing has actually survived me quite well. But I
Mhm.
mean, I don't disagree. If you're gonna have a proper gaming rig, a PC is the way to go. It's easier to upgrade. Having an actual
The
like
other thing that I
chassis
don't
is a
like
lot
about
more
laptops,
interesting than something that's stuck into a laptop form factor. It's far more flexible. You can put
yeah,
stuff in it that you want. It's expandable.
like the most annoying
It's
thing about laptops to me, and this isn't something that's ever going to really be fixed, is when you're buying a laptop, you're not just buying a computer, but you're buying every single peripheral that that computer could need, except they're all worse.
yeah.
Like the
You're not
monitor,
wrong. You're not
depending on
wrong.
what you get, is just you have a choice of what's attached to it. In the case of what you're looking at, it actually has some pretty cool options for what's attached to it. The keyboard, laptop keyboards suck. Once you get used to your laptop, it's fine, but
Yep.
whatever. Trackpads are universally garbage, which is why
Oh, nobody
you
games with a
always put
trackpad
a
unless you
mouse in your
have
bag.
to.
And that's just the thing. Trackpads are just in case you have nothing else to use. And so it adds so much cost for stuff that you hate and want to replace. And that's just why I get one laptop and I just try to keep it for as long as possible. That's why even my current
That's
laptop is a gaming laptop, because in the case that I want to leave my house and game, it's
Have
still worth it
you
to me to have a heavier
have
laptop.
you guys ever looked into the sort of laptop build like the cases, but not like it's essentially imagine a box that's like maybe about 8 inches wide and like maybe 5 inches long, or vice versa, and
oh,
it
the
basically
micro ATXs.
Every
sort
time
of
I've looked at do it yourself laptops, they have been the worst of both worlds.
I don't think that's. I can't believe that to be true, because
Well,
all
Like,
what you're
the
missing
only
is so
thing you get
hold on,
is
hold on,
choice,
for God's
and
sake.
even then, not always.
All you're missing is a screen. If Nancy plays in the living room, she can just hook it up to her TV or another screen. Like, doesn't really change a whole lot. Unless you need the laptop for anything else other than gaming, but you still want the portability, then you
So
can still
are you
have pretty
talking
much
about
everything.
kits that actually give you a laptop chassis to work with, or are you
No,
talking
it's a
about the
laptop. It's a
smallest
tiny
possible computer?
box. It's like
Well, then you have no battery.
you don't. It's there's no way you like. I don't. First of all, I wouldn't believe that Nancy's playing a video game and then not being plugged in.
Yeah, but the whole point of a laptop is you can move it around. If you have
And you
to
can
shut
move
it
around
down and
and you can
unplug
move
it
around
every
a small
time you wanted
computer.
to move to a new room in the house, that's
Yeah,
no good.
but it sounds like she only plays in one place in one part of the house.
Well, in that case, she could
I
just
will
have a desktop
reiterate.
attached to her TV, and she could use a wireless mouse and keyboard.
Sure, but I will reiterate that this is a mobile machine,
Yeah.
as in it also functions as my studio machine. This is what I record on when I do voice acting at home.
Ooh.
So this is
Gaming
something I pick
laptops
up
might
and
be a
I
bad
bring
idea
into my
for that
studio.
then, because like fan noise and everything.
Yeah,
I
like
I
if you
guess
get
when
one of
you're
those
noise is
just
only
mini,
a problem.
if you get one of those mini boxes that I'm talking about, they make no noise. They have all the guts of a like essentially a gaming level laptop is not a problem,
Wait, are
and
you
it's
talking about
still
like the little
portable.
Nucks?
They're mostly so from what I usually see them as, I see them in work applications more than I see them in like gaming applications, but there's no reason that they can't function as a gaming computer.
For that, the better thing to do would be to have like a desktop in a dedicated area, and then you could use like a NUC or even a Raspberry Pi for like Steam in-home streaming or something like that.
No,
But
because then you're just introducing latency that's unnecessary.
well, it's basically console
Yeah,
level
And then
latency.
having having the desktop takes away the whole point of it being mobile.
But I think not having a
so
battery takes away the point of it being mobile.
moving away from the discussion of whether a laptop is the choice I want or not,
No, it
that
definitely
doesn't
is
take
because you
away.
want mobility.
Sure.
That's the only reason to get a laptop, because it
Yes.
needs to move from one place to another easily.
A lot. Yes, and that's what I use it for. And also, I will invalidate your noise point because it doesn't make as much noise as you think, especially when you're not running something that's high, like a high intensity application.
Yeah, I was saying that, and I was thinking, it's like, well, honestly, most gaming laptops, because they have such beefy cooling, because they need it, if you're not doing anything with them, like if all you're doing is
They're
recording
really
audio,
quiet when you're not doing anything with them.
Do you
They're not
only
doing
have
anything.
one portable device, Nancy?
I
That's your
mean, does my
laptop?
phone count?
No.
Okay.
I'm just
Yes, this
'cause
is
I'm
my
sort of
only portable
surprised
device.
that you wouldn't have like a secondary portable device that's sort of like in the tablet range.
I have a tablet, but I wouldn't use it the same way as I use this.
No, but I meant for like for your recording and stuff like that.
I'm also morally opposed to
Or
tablets.
or you also have like, for example, your original your original laptop that you already own, and that would just be your recording laptop, for example, and then you know what I
Well,
mean?
if I'm
Like you
getting
shift
a new
you shift
gaming
around.
laptop, this one would essentially be a full-time recording laptop.
Yeah. So like things like that shift around, and then there's no real issue otherwise either way.
Mhm.
Either way, gaming laptops, they're not bad. They're not as fun in terms of like longevity and being able to play around with, modifying them and getting new parts for them. But I mean, I've thought about getting one. I just don't know if I can justify it because I look at the price and I'm like, I could just buy some nicer new parts for my desktop.
Well, it's different for everyone, right? Like that markup is there for the portability. It's not really you're not sacrificing
Well, they're
that
also
much money for like subpar parts that you're not getting anything back for.
For me,
well, I
the
just don't like
reason
that
that I bought
they're
a gaming laptop last time,
uh-huh.
I wanted to get an Ultrabook, but the one that I wanted was sold out because
Oh,
there
same.
was one feature, one thing that I needed that was a deal breaker if it didn't have at the time. This actually
And?
isn't an issue for me anymore, but back then it was.
Mm-hmm.
I needed an
What was
Ethernet
it?
port. And I'm not dealing with
Ah.
fucking dongles. And I'm not dealing with fucking dongles, especially with a lot of Ultrabooks that only have 2 USB ports. I needed a physical Ethernet port built in. And one Ultrabook that I was interested that ticked all the other boxes had it, and then it got sold out when I went to get it. So I was like, fuck it, I'll get myself a gaming laptop.
So what's really interesting about the laptop I'm looking at right now, and some people are decrying it because, oh god, it's missing a vital thing, and I honestly couldn't
What's the vital thing?
It's the webcam. It doesn't have a webcam on it.
I don't know if that's vital. It's sort of
FBI be
it's
damned.
sort of more vital nowadays, just because people want a video conference, for example.
Yeah, but I personally never use the
Laptop
webcam on my
webcams
laptop.
are garbage. Universally.
And like honestly, I have no use for it. I think you guys have come to realize that given our Discord chats lately, and I've got a sticker.
You say that
over
like we've
mine.
had more than one.
This Discord chat and the
Shush.
one yesterday is more use that I've gotten out of my webcam than I have in the year so far.
Yeah, but I mean, like, Angela, how many times do you actually video conference with anyone for anything?
Never. Actually,
That's a consequence of how your life
3
works.
times. 3 times.
Versus
one was for a
how
job
other
interview.
People, like if you were in business or in like a tech sector where you're like customer facing or client facing, then you might want that. That's a
one
whole.
was for a
That's
job
a
interview.
different argument.
Another one was just so that they could confirm my identity for getting a job.
Really?
Yeah, because the whole application process was online. They just wanted to make sure the person applying was the same person on the driver's license that was submitted.
Interesting.
Because apparently it's an issue that some people will apply for a different applicant that would never get the job otherwise.
That is such an odd industry.
Yeah.
To be in, applying for jobs that aren't for you, but for someone else.
And I can't remember what the third thing was, but I'm sure it existed. I don't know. Yeah.
Anyway, so my online shopping aside, I've actually been filling my time at home with lots of things that I never used to have time for that I've been meaning to make time for like a year.
Nice.
Like, I actually picked up like doing digital artwork again.
Oh,
which
nice.
I need to poke you about some things. And then like I promised a friend I would make a blanket for her. And it's been sitting in this perpetual like half finished state because
like, are you knitting or sewing?
Making
or what?
it out of her own hair.
Oh, okay.
Oh God. No, I would never want someone to make something out of my hair.
Uncomfortable blanket.
Are you saying that Nancy's hair is of poor quality?
I'm saying that it's not blanket.
It's just like
tier.
alpaca.
It's like alpaca soft. Alpaca merino wool. Oh God. No. I crochet as sort of like a side thing that I can do, but I've never gone and really developed that skill outside of maybe like a handful of things that I can make. But this blanket has been in like a perpetual state of half finishedness. And the reason why is because the ball of yarn I'm supposed to be crocheting from is in this horrible, horrible knot. And the knot has knots, and those knots have their own knots, and there's like a folded reality in one of them. Like, it has been an insane couple of days. Like, the last couple of evenings I've had to stay at home and be home, I've literally spent all that time crocheting, but by crocheting I mean undoing all the knots in this ball of yarn.
Oof.
It is not the most interesting or exciting thing in the world.
That sounds like the most frustrating thing ever.
It is a necessity. I mean, I can't continue making the blanket without doing this first.
Yeah.
But it's just been a frustrating time. And like, it doesn't sound super interesting or exciting, but I guess it's fulfilling because I'm finally ticking stuff off of my to-do list that I've been meaning to do. Yeah.
I've been trying to read, getting back into reading, some paperbacks.
What are you reading these days? Like, what do you like to read?
Books. Actually, I'm a little bit sad because my local bookstore that I do like to go to Even if I'm just like browsing or whatever,
It was not
they're shut
essential.
down. Yeah, they're not essential, so I can't really get new books other than like through Amazon or something, and I don't really want to do that either. So I'll have to wait, but
Jay,
I'm going through. Yes,
what are your feelings on ebooks?
I don't like them. I have like 3 ebook readers for some reason or another. Like I don't
What?
hate I don't hate them. I just don't use them very much because I just don't. There's something like incredibly frustrating about not being able to read a book because I'm trying like especially when you're in the zone of reading a book and it's
Hmm.
because you've run out of electricity to do
Yeah.
so. Like there's that like doesn't that just sound sort of like completely
Well,
absurd, you know what I mean?
if you ran out of battery, though, you would be able to read that one page over and over again.
Yeah. That's like, you know
No,
what I
not
mean though,
not mine.
right?
Not mine.
Really?
Because when mine runs out of battery, it just defaults back to the front cover of the book.
What a rude book. What a rude
I
ebook reader.
know. I know. But I understand. I mean, I've tried reading ebooks on my phone, which is maybe not the best uh, format for reading books.
Definitely
Mhm.
I
not, but
actually do enjoy like paper books, being able to flip the pages. And there is something interesting about. So this kind of goes back to our little discussion earlier about Alyx, but like when you actually can see the number of pages left in the book, there's something about that. And you don't
yeah,
get that when you read an ebook.
you don't. You don't
Hmm.
get that. Uh,
But like when you hold the book, you actually have the physical feeling of decreasing numbers of pages on the right hand side.
from a technology point of view, I think e-ink displays are awesome.
Mm-hmm.
I hate ebook
I
readers.
totally agree. They're great. I just, it's really weird moving to an ebook reader.
Like for me, I've never been a big reader to begin with, so I've never had any inclination to ever spend money on an ebook reader. Not when I think that I personally enjoy
Yeah.
reading a physical book better when I do need to read. But
But yeah,
beyond that, ebook readers
uh
themselves, they always feel so slow and clunky and
yeah,
unresponsive,
I,
and
I, I
I've
don't love
never
the
touched one
software on them
that
for
has
sure.
been enjoyable to use.
Yeah.
It always feels like it's me against the ebook reader, not
They're like I
yeah.
know we have
You know exactly what I'm saying.
like Sue, I think she reads a lot and she likes ebook readers and I think it's like if I were a more of a high volume reader, I might consider ebooks a little bit more. But I just like I grew up like of course we all grew up reading sort of like just paperbacks and that kind of stuff. But I meant like
Mm-hmm.
I really do like that experience a lot more. I read through books fairly quickly when I'm in the mood to do so. So it's like that would be a nice thing, but yeah, like Angela was right. The interface, I've never met an ebook interface that I've loved. I don't care about carrying like 50 books because I'm only reading one at a time anyways. Like,
Yep,
you know what I
Yeah,
same.
mean? Like,
I agree.
If I had
and
one book, it could take me like a week
yeah.
to get through it.
And the books that I
Mm-hmm.
like the book I'm reading or the series I'm trying to get through right now is like the girl with the Dragon Tattoo series. And that
Okay,
Ah,
series
yes.
I
finished,
know the
a
movies.
long time ago, obviously. But
Uh-huh.
there's like there's a new trilogy written by like I don't really want to call him a ghost writer, but he's not the original author because obviously it's like Stieg Larsson has passed away, but
Mm-hmm.
he's like taken on the franchise and they're saying it's pretty good and I wanted to read, give it a chance and see if I liked it. So I got the first book from that at least. I'm gonna try and get through the Witcher books because I haven't gotten through those
Nice.
yet.
Nice.
I won't go back to the Game of Thrones books because I just don't care for the writing that
You don't
much.
care anymore?
I never cared about Game of Thrones that much in the first place.
Okay.
I gave it like 2 books, and by the end of the second book, I was just like, this is just not my style of writing.
Yeah, that's
And
Mm-hmm.
fair.
I never watched the show. No, like it's not about the show. I don't care. But yeah, like I don't know. I'm working through those two things right now, and then we'll see where we end up. Who knows? In 4 weeks, the world would be very different. So I might not have a lot of time to keep up with it.
Maybe not.
Yeah.
I have to agree about Game of Thrones. It just that writing style was personally
I
kind of
have not
off-putting, and
read the
I
books or
don't.
watched the show. Bleh.
I wouldn't say I'm like very seasoned in the world of fantasy novels, but I just didn't enjoy reading like that specific type of prose. I don't know why, and I can't really put my finger on it, but I personally have a very large backlog of like Neil Gaiman and Terry Pratchett that I would love to go and read. And I will maybe probably get around to that after I'm done making this goddamn blanket.
I look at the Game of Thrones books and I'm like, Jesus, those are thick with 4 C's. It's a bit
Mm-hmm.
much for me. And I just walk away.
At the end of the
Yeah.
day, it's not really about the length of the book. It's really about the style of writing. Like the genre obviously plays into a part, but I mean you picked it up for a reason.
I'm a
But
weak
yeah,
reader and I just, if
yeah,
it's too long, I just won't try.
yeah. Uh, Otherwise, I don't know. Like there's not a whole lot. I mean, we all go to well, I go to work. Angelo still goes to work. Nancy has work but doesn't have to go to it.
Yay!
There's
Yay
not.
for being able to work from home.
Yeah, there's just not a whole lot to be sort of involved in that I wasn't already involved in before. Like there's still Otafest stuff for me. There's still just planning and video games, I guess. Like I want to catch up on some other games, but I'm not like there's nothing amazing about, you know, sort of what are you doing during quarantine anymore,
It's
you
a
know what I mean?
very boring apocalypse.
Yeah. If anything,
I'm
sorry, go ahead.
I'm making a concerted effort just to try and stay connected with friends. Like, I have a group of friends that like to do book club e type activities,
Mm,
and that's probably on hold indefinitely because a lot of them are parents and they have young kids at home.
mhm.
Ooh.
Um, so that's kind of it's a bit of a downer, but at the same time, if we are given the option to do a virtual hangout and talk about this book that we all agreed we would read and most of us forgot all about the choice even that we made like months and months and months ago,
Mm.
um it's for the better because I I feel like this is really honestly better than not seeing each other at all. Because in the past we used to do that thing where it's like, oh well, this person can't make it, we'll push it another week. Oh, but that week these people can't make it, so we'll bump it another week,
Yep.
and then we bump it like 3 months, and then we all finally get to congregate in one area at the same time together
Mhm.
without the
Mhm.
responsibilities of looking after kids or something, or like we all have very busy schedules, and
Right.
like it's nice now that we're even considering doing a virtual hangout.
I will say the thing that's changed the most because I don't really binge shows and stuff like that as well. I will say
Mm-hmm.
the one thing that has really changed is my content intake of like, wanting to have something on the side to have serve as like background noise or whatever show. Like shows cannot keep up with the amount of time that I have right now to watch things.
Do
So,
you not have a
like on
large
demand.
backlog of things?
Ain't no one
No,
got
because
time to delve into the
no,
backlog. I
no,
want the
it's
new
not.
shit now.
No,
And
I
I
don't
want
have
to
a huge
ignore the new
backlog.
shit and
I
just
don't
do
have
something
I do
else.
not have a huge backlog at all because uh I don't really do Netflix very much. I don't really have a lot of streaming services except for Crunchyroll. So I need to like catch up on One Piece, I guess, but I like to binge that more than watching it weekly anyways.
Really?
And
Huh.
then so of the stuff that I like to watch like on the on-demand side of things, so for example like YouTube stuff, I've already run through a lot of the library of that. So I have found
Hmm.
that I'm getting right into Twitch right now because
Oh.
it's just it's
It's
like
the perfect
TV
background
content
noise.
in a way, right? Because it's just this constant stream of consciousness work that I can um, watch and have on the side, and every now and then I'll interact with like the chat or with the streamer themselves, but on the whole like and finding personalities that I actually like, because for the longest time I didn't really have personalities that I liked on Twitch, but
It can
because
be
there's
Yeah.
difficult to find.
yeah, but like a lot of Twitch streams are like 3-4 hours, so
Yeah.
that really kills a lot of that kind of. It's nice.
Yeah, well, right before the pandemic really hit us,
Hmm.
Bayfar and I started streaming Final Fantasy VIII.
Right.
because we both have this massive nostalgia attached to it.
Mm-hmm.
And that was really fun. I'm actually super grateful that we can continue to do that remotely together.
Mm-hmm.
It's obviously more fun if we're like sitting in the same room and actually having this running commentary of this game that we're both so attached to, but it still works.
Mm-hmm.
Bayfart can just
It's just-
stream it, and you can backseat game over Discord.
That's literally what I do.
Nice.
Thank you. That's literally all I do.
But
I also provide hilarious voices that are extremely out of character.
What voice would you give to Angelo the dog?
So Angelo unfortunately has fallen under a pretty hilarious meme for me because she literally shoots the dog from her arm at the enemy as an attack.
I did not know this.
And every time she does this, I think to myself, why did I think this was an acceptable attack as a kid? Why did I think that was okay?
Obviously, she just shoots the dog through her arm.
Yeah.
She's a dog summoning arm.
She cries in dog. Anyway. So, yeah, I don't know how to answer that question other than cries in dog.
I was there for your first episode, and I'll probably like hang around just if I have some time and not much to do, obviously.
Ouch! Thanks, Jay.
Yeah, absolutely. No, in the way that obviously, I don't want to always be in my room playing my games and stuff. Kind of need that sort of social aspect. I have some regrets. I always have some regrets whenever I do playthroughs and streams because of the voices I choose and how hard they are on my throat. Like the Quistis voice.
Leo learned in her last
Quistis
stream
not
to give people weird voices.
But it's fun.
Like
That's
she
like the
gave
thing.
one character a great eating voice, and I was in chat at the time, and I just told her straight up, give him a different voice because he shows up quite a bit from now on.
I guess. It's just, at the end of the day, you do it for fun. Anyways.
I think my favoriteest thing was still Pro Wrestling Quistis.
Yeah, Pro Wrestling Quistis, which was basically, what do you call it? Macho Man Randy Savage.
It was
yeah.
It was top notch, like Chef's Kiss top notch.
The only good thing about choosing that voice for Quistis was that she doesn't show up that much afterwards, so it's kind of nice. Like she's really front heavy. So
I enjoyed it. It was great.
I think that's
is front heavy, but I think
the
podcast is back heavy now.
Yes, I think we are finished for this episode. We'll be pushing out more episodes as we can. I don't know when things are going to end anymore because the schedule is so messed up now. But you know what? It doesn't matter. We'll get there when we get there. And we'll get there together. So stay safe.
Yep.
Stay healthy. Take care of the people around you. Wash your hands. And
stay home.
We'll see you when we can see you. How about that?
Yep.
Yeah.
Sure will.
Take care, everybody.
Have a good one.
Thanks for listening.
Angelo signing out.
Bye.